Happy Halloween!
In honor of Halloween, we thought we would do our top 10 most disturbing films. Because we didn't want to just do the top 10 horror movies. We want to do what we think is the most disturbing.
Yeah. So we have some honorable mentions. Korea has a lot of disturbing movies like The Butcher and Ichi the Killer, I Saw the Devil, Old Boy. Those movies are kind of fucked up, but they didn't really make it into our top 10.
Yeah, but they're worth noting. They're pretty disturbing.
Yeah, the Korean filmmakers have a pretty weird imagination. And there's a real brewing film scene there, and you should pay attention to Korean film because there are a lot of really great movies coming out of that country. Another movie that gets an honorable mention is Combat Shock, directed by, what's his name? He directed Life is Hot and Crackdown. I don't know how to pronounce his name, like Buddy Giannavazio. But it's a Troma movie. Well, Troma released it, and the guy who made it said he wanted to make something like Eraserhead, so he just blatantly rips Eraserhead for the movie. But it's pretty weird, and the music is especially good. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. It's another honorable mention. It's pretty good.
It's disturbing.
Yeah. Martyrs.
That was good.
It's a French film. It's pretty weird.
Crazy ending.
Yeah, it's kind of a horror movie, kind of formulaic at times. Bully.
I really like that movie. I think it's good. It's disturbing. It's not quite in the top 10, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like that movie too. It's directed by Larry Clark. How do you pronounce that one?
Cello.
Okay, that one is Criterion put that out. It's directed by Pier Pasolini, and it's about like eating shit. It's pretty gross, but you might want to check it out if you're into really gross movies. It's not so much a horror movie. It's more like a commentary on society, but like a allegory. But it's pretty weird. Clean Shaven. This is a really good movie. It's an independent film. That was edited by Jay Rabinowitz, who then became Jim Jarmusch's editor after he edited this movie, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that he did with sound. It's about a schizophrenic, and there's a lot of just ambient noise that comes in and out. It's pretty interesting. Blue Velvet, this sort of stands in for all of David Lynch's movies. Gets an honorable mention as one of the top most disturbing movies because
they are disturbing. They can be very uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, some people say that David Lynch's movies are like the most fucked up things they've seen, but to me there's so much humor in them, so much warmth at the same time. There's a good balance that they don't really deserve to be in the top 10. But they'll get an honorable mention. Okay,
let's
so
get
here's
into
the top,
our top 10. Okay. Number 10, Nacho Cerda's Aftermath Genesis. I'm trying to have correct pronunciation. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing anything.
This movie is pretty weird. Well, one part of it. It's two short films, and it's very well made. And that's one of the things we tried to focus on for these movies that made it into the top 10. These aren't necessarily horror movies. They're actually movies that are so well made, artistically powerful, that they'll actually disturb you rather than make you grossed out like some stupid movie like Header or Gutter Balls. Like, those movies have a lot of gore, but they're not gonna shake me to my core. Anyway, number 9, Fred Vogel's August Underground trilogy. These movies are pretty weird.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty scary and just disturbing, gross, but it has a realistic quality to it. You know, the way they did the POV and...
Yeah, because it's supposedly homemade footage that these serial killers took as they were on a killing spree. And when we showed it to my little brother, he was like freaked out.
He thought it was real.
Yeah.
And
he told my mom.
Right, and there's some gross gore in it too.
Yeah, it's some pretty nasty stuff. You don't see a lot of like impact of like a knife because they didn't really have... I mean, there's a lot of like after the violence or whatever, like whatever.
Yeah.
I won't spoil the movie, and I don't even want to get into it because it's kind of gross. So number 8, Necromantic 1 and 2.
Those movies are hard to watch. They're very gross.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
But they're also disturbing because of the heights of the grossness, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So disgusting. Number 7, David DeFalco's Chaos.
Which is a good movie too. I liked it, but it was very disturbing and hard to watch.
Yeah, it's one of those horror movies that also works pretty much as a film, and I don't know why. Maybe it was by accident. David DeFalco, I don't know, he's directed some movie recently with like a WWF wrestler. I don't know if he's necessarily the best director, but this is the Last House on the Left story, and I'm putting Chaos in place of Last House on the Left, any version of the movie, because it's the best version of it, I think. I mean, that movie's been remade so many times under so many different names. I think that Chaos gets it the most crazy. I mean, it's good.
Right.
Number 6, Todd Solondz's Palindromes. This movie's...
Right. It's kind of like just... It's kind of... You laugh at it. It is funny, but it's also really horrifying. And, you know, you have pedophiles and...
Yeah, this movie's horrible. Or the scene where she locks herself in her bedroom and her dad's pounding on the door. That scene's really just...
Right.
But
then there's scenes where you'll laugh.
The movie has a lot of humor, and like I said about David Lynch didn't make it into the top 10 because I think there's a lot of humor and warmth in his movies. I think that there's humor and warmth in Palindromes, but it's much more mean-spirited.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he really respects the kids and tries to... Those scenes are... I don't know, that's a great movie. I don't know. It's very complex. Number 5, and these aren't necessarily, like, where they rank, where they fall on the list, it's not like we like these movies in this order.
No.
These are just, if you want them...
Disturbing.
Yeah.
What we thought are the most disturbing.
So number 5, Gaspar Noé's Irreversible. This movie is very stylized, like really heavy-handed. Noé is a very annoying filmmaker, but I gotta give it to him. Irreversible is kind of a punch in the gut. Number 4, Michael Haneke's The Piano Teacher. Michael Haneke, this sort of stands in for Michael Haneke's entire body of work. This is a director that I've gotten really into recently, and the first Haneke movie I saw was Funny Games. I didn't like it. We thought it was so silly and stupid. But then I watched The White Ribbon and Time of the Wolf, and he's one of my favorite filmmakers now. I think Michael Haneke is brilliant, and I still don't really like Funny Games that much. I think there's a lot of gimmicky stuff, like when the killer's looking at the camera, rewinding.
That's the one thing that sticks out about the movie to me is I just picture like two guys in tennis outfits looking at the camera.
Right, and the thing is his other movies are more focused on story, less about filmmaking gimmicks. And cachet. He's made some amazing film.
Piano Teacher's really good.
And The Piano Teacher features a performance by Isabelle Huppert, who she won Cannes for Best Actress for this film, and she
deserved it.
Right, and she's one of my favorite actresses now. I think she's awesome. She's in a movie called White Material. It's very good, and she's also in Haneke's Time of the Wolf. Number 3. This one you're gonna have to watch like the first, hour or whatever to get to the weird stuff. Right. But Vincent Gallo's The Brown Bunny is definitely up there.
Yeah, it's got a real rough ending that's very just fucked up and
it's very sad.
Yeah, it is sad and disturbing.
Right. Number 2, Lars von Trier's Antichrist.
Woo! This one I definitely had to cover my eyes a couple of times and just try and not think about what was happening on the screen because it's disturbing. I don't know. It's just it's hard to watch.
That movie was one of the first movies we watched on Blu-ray. And I remember the sound sometimes is very quiet, sometimes it'll be loud. And Blu-ray, the sound is so perfectly mastered, but at the same time, because it's perfectly mastered, the quiet parts are very quiet, even though they're very crisp, and the loud parts can be very jarring. So we're watching Antichrist, and it was a good movie.
It's really good.
Yeah, and it's a little bit slow, but like we said, these movies are more artistically powerful than films like Header or whatever that's just like some stupid gore bullshit. Even though we showed Header to this kid over at our apartment because he was helping us with Pain Shack, which it's taken us a long time, but we're not shooting it here, and so, whatever. Be patient. Anyway, we showed him some clips of Header, and he was like, I can't watch this movie anymore. Header, to me, is, so stupid.
Header's just gross.
Right.
It's not anything that really disturbs you and makes you think. It's just yucky.
It's not very well made. It's not well made at all. The acting is terrible. The craftsmanship is poor.
Right.
And number 1...
The most fucked up movie that I think I've ever seen is Catherine Breillat. Oh, sorry. Okay. Fat Girl.
Well, it was released in the States as Fat Girl. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's called... The French translation is For My Sister. And just watch this one.
I've been thinking about it since we watched it. It's like burned into my brain, and whew, it's really disturbing because it's so realistic too.
Right. That's why we chose
Right.
this number one. I mean, it's so realistic.
Yeah, it's scary. I definitely, when we were watching it afterwards, I was like, we need to watch something really happy, like a cartoon or something, because
Right.
it's just a lot to think about.
So check out these movies if you want a really disturbing Halloween.